1, 2, 3.
Connecting it.
Great.
Good, Odie.
It is now 6:59. I'm asking everyone to please put your phones on silent or vibrate at this time. Good evening to everyone as well. It is now 7 p.m. I want to welcome everyone to our regular meeting. It's October 25th, 2022, so good evening to all the directors, all of council, and we're going to start this meeting. Excuse me, I'm a little under the weather. We always start our meeting with the invocation, and today is going to be led by Dan Zander, if I said it right. And we always follow that up with our Pledge of Allegiance. So I ask you all to stand and join us in prayer and also the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you.
Sound meeting. And I just wanted to say, Lord, we love you and we care about you, Lord, and things like that. So let this meeting go smooth in thy name and pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in prayer and in Pledge of Allegiance. And we're going to start with our roll call by our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Holman. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Councilmember DeMonico.
Here.
Councilmember Lucido.
Here.
Councilmember Curley.
Here.
Mayor Owens.
Here.
Councilmember Baker.
Here.
Thank you. Now the approval of the agenda, Council. Like to add or subtract at this time?
Sure, Mayor, if I could just motion to add a closed session, just a second one, for attorney-client privilege communication regarding Domsic v. City of Eastpointe.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido.
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Now is time is the hearing of the public. We have the hearing of the public in the beginning and the end, closer to the end of the meeting. So we ask everyone to be respectful. We have all ages and backgrounds and people all over that is looking at us. So the hearing of the public is now open. I usually start it at, after you say your name and residency, or if you're a visitor, then I start the time. I don't want to mess up, or intrude on your time in your 3 minutes. So the hearing of the public is now open. Would anyone like to speak?
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone has had a chance to enjoy the wonderful weather we've had the last couple of days. And I hope it holds up through the 8th so we can get all the boaters out. I wanted to commend whoever was responsible for getting the message out about the water issue. And I say that because I saw a number of people complaining about not getting notice. I got an email, I got the Nixle text, I saw it listed on the Facebook page, and I saw it on the website. So, good job, everyone. And I hope everyone gets out to vote, because this election means our democracy is at risk. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Anyone else at this time?
Hello, Linda Flams, Eastpointe resident. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to address the proposed park improvements for Rain Park that were in the agenda packet. First and foremost, this plan included in the packet is not the same as what was in the Master Parks Plan. In the Master Parks Plan, the path curves through the center of the park with a few benches alongside in the center of the park. The proposed plan in the agenda tonight concerns me. First of all, the park is a green space, already surrounded by concrete. It doesn't make sense to add more concrete that mimics the exact same path as the street surrounding it within a few feet of the street. Additionally, many of the trees in the park would have to be taken down to complete a straight path along the sides. I'm also concerned about the added cost to the residents of maintaining the massive amount of sidewalk in the wintertime. That is a lot of snow to clear. We already have issues with litter not being picked up in the summer and the garbage can not being emptied in a timely manner. The city has a habit of putting things in but not maintaining them, and I fear this would be no different. The placement of the concrete pads is most concerning. They are way too close to the homes. I would not want 3 benches directly in front of my home, and I don't believe those on council would either. I don't think that it is safe to group that many benches directly across from any residence. I'd also like to make the statement on the color selection for the proposed benches. In most of our parks, the benches are brightly colored as to draw the eye. I would ask that the color selection for the benches blend into the surrounding scenery as opposed to stand out. I am requesting them to be either black or brown or another muted color. Because the proposed plan is not the same as the Master Parks Plan, I would ask you to not go forward with this particular plan this evening. The path should curve through the center of the park with the benches in the center of the park, as it is in the master plan, not directly across from the residences. And the park is a green space and should remain that way. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else at this time would like to speak? And as you were speaking, all of us, majority was taking notes, so let you know that. Okay. Ms. Holman, you have 2.
We have 2 emails, Mayor, that were received. Elva Talamanti. I live at 15725 North Park. We and many of my neighbors are concerned about the plans for Rain Park. We feel that a perimeter cement walkway is unnecessary and that a pathway through the middles of the park would be better, since that is what we see occurring most of the time. We do understand the need for ADA compliance, but prefer to keep the green space, green. We also feel that the addition of 9 benches as excessive and the placement of the sitting areas to be intrusive to the residents. The sitting areas and a maximum of 3 benches should be placed in the center of the park. We are also concerned about the park maintenance, making sure additional trash cans be placed and emptied regularly, since many of us have to clean trash in the park often. Also, the removal of snow from the ADA access and the pathway needs to be addressed. Many of the trees need to be trimmed and or treated for disease. There are dead limbs all over the park, and the mowers do not do anything but avoid them. Leaves need to be mulched throughout the park to keep the buildup to a minimum. Thank you, Talamanti family. And Mayor, I have a second one. Alicia Johnson. Good evening. My name is Alicia Johnson. The purpose of this letter is to express my concerns with adding seating benches and other park amenities to Rain Park on North and South Park. Disapproval of Rain Park changes for the following reasons. 1, I've been an Eastpointe resident since 2014. My initial attraction to North Park was the, quote, small boulevard, unquote, which divides North and South Park. One of the things I enjoy about having the park directly across from my front door is looking out of my window at the green and serene views, occasionally while nearby residents walk their dogs. Adding attraction, such as picnic tables, parentheses, directly across from our homes, close parentheses, would change the tranquil landscape the residents have been accustomed to. 2, Rain Park's residents consist of mostly elder and working class people, with hours that fluctuate morning to night. Adding additional disturbances will disrupt the peace and quiet that many residents require due to their varying work shifts. For example, when I leave for work, it is dark, and when I return home, it is dark. Which leads to my last reason that I disapprove of the proposed modifications to the park. 3, adding attractions such as picnic tables will increase foot and street traffic. It will encourage solicitation, parentheses, people loitering throughout the day, night, close parentheses, possible illegal activities and breaking of noise ordinances. Also, residents will be forced to succumb to more limited parking. Rain Park is a beautiful park, and I would probably understand these proposed changes if it was a larger neighborhood park, yet it is not. It is a serene green space for residents to walk with their family and dogs. For myself and many residents, it has been a quiet, safe haven. Making it anything else, parentheses, by adding these unwanted modifications, close parentheses, would be a disservice to the North and South Park residents. Thank you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you to those 2 residents that reached out and wanted their voice to be heard. And thank you for reading that, Ms. Holman. We're still, the hearing of the public is still open. Do you want to add to that before we close it? Seeing none, first hearing of the public is now closed. Moving right along to approval of minutes, the regular meeting minutes for October 4, 2022. Council?
Madam Mayor, I would move that we receive and file the minutes of a regular meeting of October 4th, 2022.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
We have no scheduled hearings. We have no unfinished business. We're going right to our reports from administration, starting with our city manager, Ms. Walter.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Council. So I'll start with an update from our public advisory that we issued out. So just as an update, the Michigan's Lead and Copper Rule was published back in June 2018, which required all municipalities to inventory water service line material and inform residents if they live in a home with a lead service line. On November 27, 2019, the city of Eastpointe issued 1,313 letters to homes in Eastpointe providing information and resources based on the verification of their water service line material. Since the Lead and Copper Rule was published, the city of Eastpointe has been conducting sampling every year of 30 homes with verified lead service lines and has been committed to replacing between 10 and 18% of those lead service lines each year. After testing that was conducted this September, we were informed that 5 of those 30 homes that we tested exceeded the action level standards set in place by the Michigan State Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy. The action level is not a health-based standard, but it is a level that triggers additional actions, including but not limited to increased investigative sampling of water quality and educational outreach to customers in accordance with the Michigan Safe Drinking Water Act. The results of the testing were site-specific, but every home with a lead service line was not tested. Therefore, every customer should be aware of the possible sources of lead, how it gets into drinking water, and things you can do to reduce exposure. The city of Eastpointe is not in violation of the Michigan Safe Drinking Water Act, as it meets all safety standards as required by the state of Michigan. It is strongly recommended that residents utilize an approved water filter for their drinking water if they have a lead service line. In partnership with the state and the county, the city has been able to provide complimentary filters and replacement cartridges to water service customers. We are working on an updated inventory list based on all the recent construction, and an additional letter for those that still have lead service lines will be sent to homes with verified lead water service lines. We have additional information on our website as well as resources. On this round table in the hallway, we also have resources. So if you stop by DPW or City Hall, we can provide that information to you. There's also resources on our website, on social media regarding testing your water. So the Department of Health and Human Services is providing free water testing for our community. So you can contact the phone number and participate in the testing that way as well. Residents can also pick up a water filter here at City Hall or at Public Works offices during office hours. We also have information on our website if you require or anyone you know requires a special pickup time, date, or some assistance. We are having a distribution event and a Lead Safe open house tomorrow, so we invite all those out that would like to learn more information about this. We're having it here from 5 p.m. until 8 p.m. in the City Hall. You have an opportunity to meet one-on-one with individuals from the Department of Health and Human Services, the City of Eastpointe, as well as Eagle, and ask additional questions and gain more information and resources. So we want to thank MDHHS, Eagle, Macomb County Health Department for all the assistance, the resources, the filters, and then also a tremendous thank you and appreciation to all the staff that have worked overtime and tirelessly since we found out about this to make sure that our community was safe. So thank you to all the staff. And also I know when we were at MML, Councilmember Lucido was here helping out with the staff as well. So thank you, Councilmember Lucido. And then moving on from the lead update, AC/DC had an incredible event. I got to see a lot of pictures of their art show. So I want to thank all of the AC/DC members that went out to the community, that got a lot of people to submit art, and also all the artists. I think they did a fantastic job. If you're interested in joining a board or commission, please apply. That information is on the website. You can stop in here to City Hall and ask any questions, and we can provide that to you. Register to vote. We are now in the phase of, if you want to register to vote, come into the clerk's office. We have Ms. Underwood here sitting in front, a shiny smiley face, so come in, register to vote, and get your information from her. Yard waste pickup ends on December 16th. I know that's a question we've got quite a bit online, but again, yard waste pickup ends December 16th. And then we've also recently put a subcommittee together for the tree lighting ceremony, and it has been scheduled for December 8th at 6:30 here in City Hall. And with that, Mayor and Council, I can ask any additional questions you may have.
Any questions for our city manager?
I think just one item, Mayor.
Yes.
As Ms. Hall-Rayford said, I think we've done a great job getting the word out. Like, I've heard people calling and hearing responses, but I think the form on the website, for some reason, I think people haven't heard back. It seems like every other way, but it's not there. So I think if we can get back as quickly as possible with those folks, maybe.
Yeah, so those are actually going to our supervisors over at DPW. They've been working overtime. We were actually here Saturday, and she was going through, so she's received thousands of inquiries, and it takes going through a lot of history through BSNA for every single individual address. So we are trying to get back as quickly as possible, but then we are still going to send out those formal letters for anyone that still has a lead line. So if you have a lead line, you will be expecting a letter from us, and that will be the certification. But we are still following through with all the inquiries that we did get online.
Any other questions, council? Okay, moving right along to our finance director, Mr. Blum. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Wanted to highlight a couple of items. We've received 2 additional actuarial reports that are now out on the financial transparency section of our website. The pension, the December 31st pension, has been out there since June, but I'm not sure it actually got talked about a lot. In that one, the unfunded pension liability dropped from $48 million to $46.6 million, and increased funding from 50% to 53%. Still not where it should be, but it's making progress. The death benefit, that actually dropped from a 231% funded to 200% funded. That means it's actually overfunded by double what it needs to be, but it's only $575,000, so it's not significant. The big one, though, is the retiree health care. If council remembers, they made the change to retiree health care effective January 1st. The unfunded liability on that dropped from $28 million down to $15.6 million, and $12.3 million of it was the change that was made to the retiree coverage. Our funding went from 27% up to 39%. That is a massive increase in 1 year. And honestly, we have not heard many complaints from the retirees on the coverage change. So that is just a huge impact on that type of liability. And those are out on the website now if you want to look at the whole report. Additionally, I sent an email out today with an update on where we stand with all of the grant money that was received, the CARES money and the ARPA money, how much was received, how much was spent, what it was spent on. If you have any questions, please contact me. And that was all I have.
Any questions, council? Seeing none, moving right along to our city attorney, Mr. Albright. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Last Wednesday, the Medical Marijuana Committee held their scoring meeting, and of the 17 applicants, they narrowed it down to 3 top score getters. Those applicants that scored in the top 3 are Holistic Health at 21145 Gratiot, Sharktail / Moses Roses at 8 Mile and Kelly, and the third finalist was MPM RX Common Citizen at 24545 Gratiot. Those are unofficial results. City administration is still going through and taking care of some housekeeping matters, and the official results will be announced at a future meeting, most likely within the next couple of weeks. After that meeting and the results are official, then the applicants will be required to go through the Planning Commission for site plan review. The other thing that I wanted to bring to the council's attention is next week's council meeting, there will be an ordinance for the council's approval. It's the misuse of first responder services. This is an ordinance amendment that was requested by the Director of Public Safety. I have drafted the proposed ordinance, and he has approved it, and it will be before the council at next week's meeting. And then the second meeting in November, there will also be an ordinance brought forth for graduated fines for non-owner occupied homes. That's going to be dealing with, of course, rental properties here in the city, and that was requested by the building department. So I'm just putting the final touches on that ordinance, and that will again be for first reading at the second meeting in November. And that's all I had, Madam Mayor. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for our attorney? We have our Deputy Police Chief, Mr. Merlo. Did you have any updates as far as community and safety?
Yes. We've been getting a lot of vehicles breaking into, so make sure you lock your cars up. A lot of cars that are being stolen, so if you can afford a club for your steering wheel, make sure that'll make the car harder to steal. The thief is not out there with a saw ready to cut a club off of the steering wheel. So if you can do things like that to help us out, and also park the cars in the backyard or garage if possible. That'll help that you're not a victim of these crimes. So we are getting a lot of stolen cars and larcenies from all. So just be aware of that. Yes, sir. Kias and Hyundais, mostly. They're very easy to steal. They use a phone charging cord to steal a car. That's what they're doing. So that's why we recommend the club.
When is our next neighborhood watch, sir?
It'll be Thursday, this Thursday at 6 p.m. here at City Hall.
Okay. Thursday at 6 p.m. So please, you all in the audience and those at home, meet us here at 6 p.m. this Thursday for our neighborhood watch, so we can learn how to watch out for each other, not just our own property. I've learned to not only be responsible for myself, but I've been in the position of so many things, policing, now mayor, and as a mom as well, and as a neighbor and a friend, to not only look out for myself, but look out for the welfare of others. That's our responsibility, is to help not only ourselves, but others. Any questions for our Deputy Police Chief, Counsel? Thank you for those comments and that review of what's going on. We're going into new business. Item A, the approval of AEW engineering proposals to provide contract administration and other services for 2 projects through the Macomb County Community Development Block Competitive Grant 2022 Bricks and Mortar Program. I know, is this the one that the young lady has some comments on? Did you guys want to discuss this for a minute, Council? I'll let you start.
Yes, Madam Mayor, if you mind.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. So I do understand her concern. I know that the Parks Commission at one time had gone out to Rain Park when we were doing the Parks Master Plan, and they had spoke with a lot of the residents in that area. And I believe that the majority of residents, if not almost all the residents, I don't think one really had a different opinion. They really wanted to keep it more of a green space. So I don't know if I would approve with what is actually being proposed here tonight with the Rain Park improvements. I think something more simple would definitely be more of what the residents kind of wanted. Making it ADA compliant, having the path through the middle with just a few benches, because most of them wanted to keep it just strictly a green space.
Anyone else? Councilman?
Sure, Mayor. I think maybe a couple questions first. I was looking, at the park, and one thing Ms. Flans brought up was the trees, and I think maybe where the path was, it seemed like we could get it around the park without taking out any trees. I for sure was going to ask that. Okay, so the path can go in. I see a head shaking yes or nodding yes.
Did you want to come up to the podium for questions so that the audience can hear you and the people at home, if you don't mind? This is one of our engineers from AEW. I'll let you
Good
reintroduce
evening.
yourself.
Ryan Kern with AEW. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yeah, as far as the conceptual drawing that's in front of you tonight, basically it's a new sidewalk around the perimeter of the park. There would be no tree removal required. That sidewalk would actually be within the right-of-way of South Park, North Park, and Henrietta Streets, and not technically within the park itself. It would be within the city's right-of-way of those streets.
Yeah, and I think I like the idea of a path around it. I think people would, walk around in the park more often, and it's more accessible then to everybody. I know we've got in the two corners the ADA ramp, and then it basically ends just in the grass. But would also be nice, I think, what council's been trying to do over the years is make our parks that are just grass into more of a park. And at least that's what we've discussed, I thought, in the past. I don't know, I like these plans.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I guess for me, as far as like benches in the park, I think about, we have a senior center or housing right there on 9 Mile. People may want to utilize the park, and I think about caregivers, people who are attending to the elderly or those who are in need of assistance, and so they need somewhere where they should be able to sit down with their the one that they're caring for. So this is a thing where we have to take everyone into consideration as far as that goes. It's a public park. I understand the how it's been and the appreciation for the green space and what that does, but making something ADA compliant means that you still also have to, I believe it, think of those who are the care providers. So that was kind of one of my concerns there. So that was pretty much, I think, that was really pretty much what I was thinking about it. You have to think about everybody's needs. I understand concerns of not wanting to change it, but what's for the greater good? Who does it serve, the most?
Thank you. Anyone else? When we did this, put this together, I believe we did a community survey in that area, correct? To see what the residents in that area and a little bit outside that area would like or
I'm not sure if we did a
wouldn't
community
like.
survey in that area. It might have been prior to my time.
Ms. Holman?
That
did we
probably
do-
would have been part of the public engagement with the parks,
Okay.
with the parks master plan,
Okay,
which would have included all the parks.
okay.
Mayor, I did have one other question.
Yes,
You,
sir.
I guess I pulled up the recreation master plan, and I was, I guess I'm not sure what was discussed. I see we did a little bit more. We had, at least what I'm seeing and what I recall seeing in the past is there's one path along it's not the south, on the west edge, on the base of the triangle. And that was it, and a couple benches and a little libraries mentioned here. And then it would kind of connect the park a little bit more than it does. Am I missing something else? I don't recall a different plan, I guess. I don't know if I was missing something.
That's what I recall from the original master plan for the parks, was just a sidewalk or pathway along the west side of the park.
Can be okay if she brought that up here?
Oh, yeah, please, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I think we have someone that's actually on the Parks Commission. You had your hand raised. Did you want to come up to the podium, please? And those two comments that came from you, Ms. Holman, was those the people that lived across the street from the park? Do you know? By any chance? I know you said the addresses. I forgot the addresses you said. Was
Madam Mayor, I have one with an address of 15725 North Park.
Okay.
I do not have an address on the other one.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Yes, when we were working on the master plan and we were doing the surveys throughout the summer, back in 2019, I believe it was, we did survey a lot of the community, different functions and everything. One of the things I did mention with Ms. Flans was I'm not 100% sure where the weaving path came through in the park. I don't know if that was just a concept that when they were putting the master plan together, they took a little creative license, but I do understand that there was talk of having some sort of a path in the park or around the park, so either would be acceptable. And we did survey the community at different times.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
And Ms. Flans, that's your name, did I get it right? Do you stay in this area as well?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I do.
on it.
Both of those people that wrote letters, they live on North Park, across from one of these benches on the new proposed plan.
I'm just going by, if you guys can hear me, I'm going by some of, your comment and some of the comments off council and Councilman Baker, because right there is the senior building. And I know actually, being on a housing, as a liaison for the Housing Commission and knowing a lot of those seniors, they do go to that park. And they do need somewhere to walk to. And I know I've walked with some seniors. I had a close friend of mine that was a senior. He doesn't live there anymore, but he went to that park a lot. And they don't have anywhere, a park that's in that vicinity to sit at. They have a bench in front of the building, and that's about it. But as far as walking, distance, a park that's close to it, that is the close. I'm sorry, ma'am. You can come up to the podium. Let her come up to the podium so everyone at home can hear you.
Both the master plan has a path down the middle and benches. And so does the proposed plan has a path. It's just where that path is and where the benches are. So both would be ADA compliant. It's just a matter of how much concrete you're putting into the area, and then where the benches are situated.
So that's your concern, where they're situated?
The proposed plan has them directly across from residences.
I see.
And I stood there looking at it and I was like, gosh, I would not want to have 3 park benches like that close
Right, yeah,
to my residence.
right. I understand. I think we all should understand that. But we, as well as, if you move your house by a park, that you're by a park. If you move by a freeway, you're gonna hear, loud sounds of, cars. So, but at the same time, we want to be able to make sure that when we do things, we think about the betterment of the people that's actually living across the street too.
Yeah. And I don't know how
know.
far this path, but I looked at it today and there's just all sorts of trees. There's all sorts of roots. I don't know how you're gonna get a sidewalk in there without disturbing all those trees that are on the edge of the park.
Is there any way that we can go back to this and some of the concerns that she was talking about?
Madam Mayor,
who am I
Madam
talking
Mayor,
to?
if I may.
Okay, Ms. Holman.
First of all, I think it's important to note that the proposed plan was approved by council and was submitted to CDBG, Macomb County CDBG, and then to HUD for approval. We cannot make substantial changes to the plan. I mean, you can go around a tree, you can move a bench, but to make substantial changes, we're going to forfeit that grant. Snow removal, someone raised, of course we would do that. We do that in all of our other parks. It would just be added to the contractor's list of projects, areas that would have to have snow removed, just like we do with the grass cutting. I think it was important to note also that, as the engineer said, that the outer ring of sidewalk, which doesn't meet the ADA requirements, is within the city right-of-way of the park, and is something that, again, it was mentioned that the seniors could go. They don't really have anything in either of the buildings that are there. It is a city park, which means it's open to residents, and as all our city parks are, it's also open to residents of other cities. There is no parking there, so it's not going to be heavily trafficked like Spindler or Memorial or Kennedy, but it is, I think, important to make it accessible for those in wheelchairs or, with other mobility issues.
So with those concerns that the resident talked about, that's not a big issue that we can reposition those benches. Because if I'm sitting on my porch, I don't think I want someone looking directly at me. So if we can do like the minor touches of this plan that she was just talking about, without losing the grant.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, what you've got in front of you is a conceptual plan, basically.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to be doing a full design, full engineering plan for it. We can definitely move those concrete pads and benches around wherever the best fit is.
I had one quick question. So the proposed benches on here, are they facing the walk or are they facing inside the park?
I think we show them facing out to the sidewalk there, but I mean, again, they could be placed however you really want to.
Like if we could, where the benches are, put the walk like on the opposite, so the bench is like against the road, so you're facing into the park. I mean, even
You
people
can.
sitting there
Yeah,
might
you
appreciate looking more at the park than looking in someone's random house. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
And
Yes, sir, go ahead.
And yeah, Mayor and Miss Flans, I think this must have been some iteration of the plan because I pulled it up on RARE's website and the part through the middle here is not in the final plan. I think this must have been an iteration that was considered. So what's...
That's the one that you emailed me.
Did I
Yeah.
how long ago did I email?
When this came up the first time. You emailed me the master parks plan and that's where it came from.
Okay, I guess at that point, it must not have been the final document. The one on the RARE website's dated June 11th, 2020. And it's a path at the small side, just from one side to the other. So the change for this would be that it goes all the way around instead of just on the one side. And this one did propose benches and a little library. So I guess there'd be then a set of benches on each of the other two paths, then is the difference.
So with those changes to this plan, with the residents who spoke up today at the podium, and also with who gave Ms. Holman their comments, you want to try to accommodate them as well as the rest of the community and those who visit our community. I really like Rain Park, I really do. I did a yoga event there 2 years ago. So it's a nice park and we want to keep it that way. And invite other people to come and visit that park as well. And the people that stay across the street to be comfortable too. So we want to make accommodations for everybody if possible. Council, any comments? So do we have to do anything, Mr. Albright, with keeping, making a motion with changes to this? Or how does that, or we don't have to do anything, changes to the...
No, not at this time.
You
Just
don't?
the
Okay.
motion that's before the council.
Okay. Any other comments or concerns, council? Seeing none, you guys want to make a motion?
Sure, Mayor. A motion, we move to engage the professional services of Anderson, Eckstein, and Westrick for the two projects through the Macomb County Community Development Block Competitive Grant 2022 bricks and mortar programs, specifically to prepare engineering plans, provide construction inspection and administration, and conduct testing for the Rain Park Improvements Project, and to provide bid document preparation and construction inspection and administration for the solar street lighting project.
Support that.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Thank you. Where do you go? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Flans, and everyone that has something to make sure this is better for everyone else. Item B, the bid award for lead water service replacement program, council. Let you guys get it.
Mayor, I'll move that we award the lead service line replacement program bid to the two bidders, D'Angelo Brothers Incorporated of Farmington Hill, Michigan, and Bidagare Contractors Incorporated of Plymouth, Michigan, for the unit prices stated in their bids, both dated October 6, 2022.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Actually, could I, before we go,
Yes.
a
go
quick
ahead, please.
question? Well, one confirmation, it was the two companies were the only ones that bid, correct?
Ms. Walton? Oh.
Yes, that is correct. We only received the two bids.
And then, I see we said a minimum of 10, it was a minimum of 10 lead lines each contractor per year.
Each assignment, so I mean, there could be several assignments, depends on how many we have available to replace, but it would be a minimum of 10 for that contractor to come out. Instead of
Oh, we wouldn't send them for
individually,
one or
calling them out
something.
for one, we want to have enough work for them to make it worthwhile for them to come out. I mean, they can usually do several in a day.
Okay, and then we basically would just do as many of those as possible to hit $1 million after subtracting whatever's on
Correct.
other
That's
projects.
correct. There's
that
a
would be
budget of
related?
there's a budget of $1 million per year. It's a 2-year contract.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Those are my questions.
Anything else? We have
Thank you.
motion and support. Please call the roll, please.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Next item, bid award, Furwood, Birchwood Water Main Replacement Project. Council.
Mayor, I'll motion we award the Furwood and Birchwood Water Main Replacement Project to the low bidder, Deponio Contracting Incorporated of 51251 Simone Industrial Drive, Shelby Township, Michigan, 48316, at the low bid amount of $1,275,256.50, plus a 10% contingency of $127,525.65, for a total amount of $1,402,782.15.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Item D, adoption of resolution number 22-1948, sidewalk and driveway approach replacement program. Council.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, I'll motion to adopt resolution number 22-1948, declaring the necessity for and directing the construction, repair of reconstruction of any sidewalk or driveway approach in the city in order to promote public health, safety, and welfare for 2023. The construction district is shown on the attached map.
Second that.
I have a question on this. I know we have that insurance for our sidewalk program. What is that called now? It's our insurance is like $8 a year. What is that called? To insure the residents if we have to go digging.
There's a SLAP program.
The SLAP
That's for the
program.
water service line or the
Okay.
sewer laterals.
Okay, so this has nothing to do with this. I was
Separate.
just,
Yep.
okay, because I was just wanting to make sure that they wasn't gonna have to pay a lot of money if we have to dig or anything like that. So if you don't have the SLAP program, get it today, or tomorrow, I'm sorry, not today. Everything is closed, but the SLAP program is an insurance. Can you explain that a little bit more, what the SLAP program, for those that haven't heard about it?
Yes, we have a service line assurance program, or SLAP, and that will cover for, is it $8 or $6?
I think we raised it, was it $6?
Yeah, I think we went from
I thought-
4 to 6.
Okay, yeah.
Throwing me off. For $6 a month, you can sign up for it. It gets added to the water bill. It will cover your sewer lateral if it becomes defective, or your water service line if it breaks and starts to leak. That is a privately owned from the point that it connects into the sewer, or up until the point that it connects into the sewer main, and from the point of the water shutoff into the house for the water service line. So if you aren't on the program and it gets defective, you would have to hire a plumber to come out and do the work yourself at your own cost. So for a limited amount of $6 a month, you can protect yourself. We're over 4,300 addresses are on the program right now.
Okay. So if they don't have it, how much around about a cost that could cost a resident if they don't have it coming out of pocket?
Well, we used to say it was between 5,000 and 8,000, but lately with construction costs, it's probably closer to 10,000 for a sewer lateral.
So if you do $6 a month, that will save you a lot of money. So I didn't know about it for a long time, and then I read into it, and someone was telling me about they pay so much money, and then I heard about the SLAP program, so I have it. So make sure you get the SLAP program, just in case things happen, you won't have to pay so much money. So I just want to note that to the residents. For those that didn't know at home, the SLAP program, just come in and be added to your water bill, correct? And they just pay that with their water bill. Okay, we have motion and support. Please call the roll.
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On this, the resolution we're passing, 22-1948, maybe somebody can answer, maybe they can't. The estimated cost of these repairs will vary from property to property. The cost could range from approximately blank to blank, depending on the amount of concrete replaced. Can somebody give me it's only a guesstimate, I realize, but I think the folks would at least have something in their mind how much it's going to cost them if they have to be replaced.
Darren, do you know what's put out now?
I would say from 100 to, we don't see it much over $800, and that would be a corner lot.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, council, or comments, concerns? Motion and support? Call it, please.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Item E, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22-1225, a zoning ordinance text amendment to Chapter 50, zoning of the ordinances of the city of Eastpointe. Council.
Yeah,
Madam Mayor, I would move to give the first reading to ordinance number 22-1225, a zoning ordinance text amendment to Chapter 50 zoning of the ordinance of the city of Eastpointe.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Mayor, I just had one very minor item, and I just wanted to mention it because I forgot to email it in, but just a spelling mistake. There was on page, well, it's 80 for me, but it's the 50-70. It just says Forster instead of Foster. That was all. I meant to email that in, but just wanted to make sure I mentioned it now before we finalized it with that.
Okay, thank you. With those corrections, motion and support, call the roll. Thank you.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes?
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Item F, introduction and first reading of ordinance number 22-1226, an ordinance text amendment to Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council of the Ordinances of the City of Eastpointe. Council.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
about a month ago, when we talked about this and had the attorney write this up, I suggested that the council would be limited to 3 minutes at the end of the meeting. When I made that motion, I must have had sand in my brain. So I would like to oh, you heard me?
Yes.
Oh, good. So I would like to have that section removed about limiting the council to 3 minutes.
Any other comments on here before we continue?
I mean, I definitely agree with that. I don't think we should be limited to 3 minutes, so.
I don't think so either. That's why I'm removing it,
I
Council Lady.
appreciate it. Yep, thank you.
Yeah, and I guess when we're in the section about abstentions, we have two options. I'm in favor of the option one. The second option, I don't agree with counting someone's vote as part of the majority, whether it be yes or no. I think votes should always be listed as given. If someone abstains, I have no problem if somebody wants a reason for the abstention, but I don't believe you just count a vote towards whether the majority be yes or no, just because of abstention. I think that it should always be listed as it was given. So that would be my choice when it gets to that section.
I agree with that as well. Council. And DeMonico.
Sure. So, yeah, for the abstentions part, I'd be with the second one, and I believe that you should, I mean, if we're up here, you should be only abstaining because of a financial or personal interest. I think really that paragraph's just stating if it's neither of those, or if for some reason someone doesn't say yes or no, I guess, I don't think we've ever had that scenario here, then you should be voting yes or no, or just abstaining for those two reasons.
Yeah, actually both suggestions include that, about personal or financial interest. But yeah, I don't believe you record somebody's vote improperly. We always talk about transparency and honesty, then that's what we should stick to. If someone doesn't say yes or no, whatever the majority is, you don't record it as such. That to me is dishonest. So that's why I opted for the first one. Because neither one of them asked for a reason, but they both talk about personal or financial interest. So I feel that that's covered as written, and I think it's the most honest and transparent.
Any other comments on here? We got a comment to you.
Yeah, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I feel like with the first one, it's making it where you can only abstain, if I'm not mistaken, if you have a financial or personal interest in the actual motion. So it's not giving, if, let's say, there was another reason why you decided to abstain on something, a way to abstain on it if it wasn't for a financial or personal interest. So I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I'll be honest.
Neither one of them really do it. They both state the same thing, is that it's either personal or financial. With the second one, it's just saying if you choose not to say anything at all, then your vote will be counted as part of the majority. So, okay, what if it's 2 yeses and 2 noes and then an abstention? What's the majority? You know, so no, I just keep it honest, record it as it was given, and so be it.
Well, I think, I guess the thing to me is if someone's abstaining, they should be stating why they're abstaining, I guess then, and the second option, I think, well, maybe it should even be more clear about that. I don't know if someone,
Yeah, I mean,
if someone's abstaining, there should be a reason given.
I don't get that from the second one, though, that they have to give a reason either.
It
Yeah.
doesn't say that.
Yeah, they both have the same. Well, it says a financial interest or personal interest. I guess that personal interest could cover everything, A to Z. it doesn't necessarily say you have to identify the personal interest, but you could say, I'm abstaining because of a personal interest.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say a personal interest and not having a vote because your personal interest can be a religious belief or certain experiences you have, and you might not want to have any vote in that. And if you just abstain, is giving you the right to say, I don't want to touch on that subject, and I think that's fair.
I would think personally, I would have a different description of what a personal interest is too, though, so I don't know, I
Yeah.
think it'd be more specific that, you actually have a relationship to the issue that we're voting on, directly. I don't think it would just,
Talking about like a personal interest, like you making money or
right,
financial gain and
yes,
things
something
like
like that, or,
So no, the second one does, the last sentence says, shall be so recorded unless a financial or personal interest in the outcome of the vote is stated at the meeting. Okay. I thought I did
Yeah.
read that.
okay.
So the second one does
I see.
require you to state it, first one does not.
So even still, okay, you give your, I have no problem with the reason being given, but I don't agree with recording somebody's vote as it was not given. That is not honest. We talk about this all the time about being transparent and being honest. That is not accurate record keeping if you write it in a way that they did not give it. So if we want to change it and say, hey, we want you to give a reason, so be it. That's easy enough to do. But to record it in a way that it was not given, can't agree with that.
Well, I think it's probably, I guess, I see what you're saying, Councilman Baker. I think it's probably worded like that because if you refuse to give a reason, it's basically forcing you to abstain with a reason or vote yes or no. Because otherwise, I guess if you just don't respond, then you're abstaining without giving a reason.
Yeah, I mean, it can be as simple as saying due to reasons personal to me. I mean, it doesn't even tell you how specific your personal reason has to be. You know, we can play semantics with it. I get it, but if we want to require a reason given, so be it. Because the fact of the matter is, if somebody doesn't give one, what happens? Nothing. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with any of that except recording a vote different than the way it was given.
Well, it sounds like we all agree with not to exceed 3 minutes, and I'm agreeing with Councilman Baker on keeping number 1 as is. And so it sounds like Councilman DeMonico and Councilwoman Lucido is with the second one. So it leaves you, Councilman Crowley. What is your thoughts?
Good question. I'm not a big fan of abstentions over the last 30 years, but if the person is going to abstain, I don't know where the problem would be to explain why they're abstaining. But you're right. If it's a 2-2 vote and somebody abstains, then the motion dies for lack of support. No matter how important it is, it's not going to get anywhere. But if the council person really feels in their heart that they don't like the yes or no, and they want to abstain, and it's not a financial reason, then they probably should explain why they're abstaining. At least we know why they're abstaining.
I don't think. Now, what does Sturgis say? What rules are we following in here? It says Sturgis. Does Sturgis require that when you abstain that you have to say why?
Sturgis leaves it up to the individual body to come up with its own rules with regard to abstentions.
Okay.
These two proposals, the council doesn't, it's not an either or for tonight's proceedings.
Okay.
The council could decide that neither of those proposals are acceptable in that the council wants additional time to think about it or perhaps come up with some proposed language that satisfies the entire body. But these were just two suggestions, but they're subject to amendment and review.
Yeah.
So the council could table consideration on this. The council could, I think we know where everyone stands on the 3-minute limitation. But if the council wants to take additional time to consider the language with regard to abstentions, then a motion to table would be in order.
Okay. Well, this has been written for years, so I really didn't see the need to really change it. I don't know what brought this about, who brought this up to have it changed, and its importance.
It's, at a previous council meeting, we asked our city attorney to incorporate some potential changes.
Because I think it's been working as how it's been going. I don't think we have exceeded 3 minutes. I don't think we do a lot of abstaining. And I haven't been up here, I've been up here almost 5 years, and I haven't not have had a council member not give a vote up here. So it's just,
Well, one abstention vote that was interesting, and I think actually there's a different part of this that's changed, that Rule 9, also about the voting majority. We had that vote on the Gratiot Cruise special event application where it was 2 yeses, 1 noes, and 2 abstentions, and we thought it failed at the meeting. I think we all went home thinking it failed, and then, our attorney said, wait, nope, that's as if 3 people were at the meeting, 2 to 1 actually goes forward. And if anybody's been watching the news, kind of a similar thing happened at the county with the smart millage, where they voted, it was 6-5, there's 13 members, so 2 were absent. They thought it passed to put the smart millage on the ballot, but then someone said, no, you need a majority of all members for it to pass. That's according to state law or whatever it was, or I don't know what the authority is. And then they had to bring it up at a different meeting, but they actually did a different millage amount. Now it's 1% less, so that they could vote, and it went through 7-6 then at that other meeting. So I think between the abstentions section and the voting majority section, we were just trying to clear it up so that we're not confused, I guess, in the future and make that same mistake. And at least that was my reasoning.
Yes, Madam Mayor, when we did the parliamentary procedure training too, some of these issues were brought up at that time, and that's, I think, what really originally initiated the bringing a light to some of these. The way it was written before not being real clear, so.
okay. Well, I don't want to
So-
spend too much time on this, but you all want to table it and come back, or I don't think it's something we need to table. We can move right along, but.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to introduce and give first reading to ordinance number 22-1226, an ordinance text amendment to Chapter 2, Administration, Article 2, City Council of the Ordinances of the City of Eastpointe, with the changes of removing the not to exceed the 3 minutes and going with the second option under abstentions.
I will second.
Motion and support, please call the roll. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mayor. I did, not to make it more complicated, but if we could, the voting majority section, and I discussed this with, actually it touches on what I was just talking about with the county. I discussed this with our city attorney, and just a slight change to that text. And I don't know, do you think I should just read what I
Yeah.
sent you?
I also wrote it in, so I can read it as well. Mr. Monaco, if you want to read it in.
Sure. So this was going to be the part, this is on Rule 9, that voting majority part, the part that's, that starts with the majority shall.
Yep.
It addresses votes where it's one, it says 1/2 of the council members, including the mayor, present voting yes or no on any given issue. And then it says on issues requiring a 2/3 vote, a majority shall consist of 2/3 of all members. But in certain scenarios, if it's like, and we haven't done this a lot, but in case it happens in the future, a 2/3 vote sometimes is of members present and sometimes it's of total members. So basically, what I was going to read is just clearing that up. Depending on what the vote is, depends on if we count all members or just the members present. I guess, for example, if we talked a lot and someone motioned to close debate, which I'm not sure, at least it's been a very long time if it's ever happened, you need 2/3 of people to vote yes to close debate and move on and vote, and 2/3 of 5 would require 4 yes votes. But if someone's missing, that means anybody could just vote no and continue debate for basically filibuster. So it'd be 2/3 of people present. No, it's complicated, but I think if it does happen in the future, this will make it more straightforward. So
you want to change it to being 2/3 of all members present?
well, so I have, my paragraph instead was, a majority shall be defined as more than 1/2 of the council members, including the mayor, present and voting yes or no on any given issue, unless charter, state law, or another authority states a majority is defined as more than 1/2 of total council members. A legal vote should be ignored. That's the same as what's in there. On issues requiring a 2/3 vote, a majority shall consist of 2/3 of members present, unless charter, state law, or another authority states a majority is defined as 2/3 of total council members.
Okay.
So that section instead of.
So I would amend my motion to make that change also.
Excuse me, Councilwoman. Now, I know Councilman Baker and I agree upon not having to, what was that? On the first instance, yeah, that, well, we talked, I think these, the 3 council, they wanted the abstentions, right? But we were just talking about, we wanted to count, not to go to majority, right? That's what we were saying.
I think
So,
not,
and I
Councilman
think,
Baker says not to count it as a yes vote, as a majority vote.
right, and it sounded like you agreed to that as well.
I think that
Or
should
no?
be deleted. Forget about, if you take a look at it, it takes a long time to explain it, but if you have 5 people and the vote's 2-2 and he abstains, it doesn't do anything. But if the vote's 4-0, and somebody abstains, so it ends up being 5-0. But I'm not in favor of that. No, I'm not. Just a straight, the first one, the number 1. The first one has that, they don't mention at all about having to count it as a yes vote.
Yeah, so I'm trying to somewhat combine that one phrase with 2, because it sounds like 2 is gonna pass, but we just want that one part in there saying that it doesn't count as a majority vote, if everybody can agree with that. And just, if you amend it and say, if someone abstains, it doesn't count as majority vote, in addition to what you already, part.
The second one, so you want to remove the part that says that it shall be counted as the voting with majority.
Right.
That's correct.
Let's replace that, remove that. 'Cause it sounds like 3 of us agree with that, but 3 also agree with, if you do abstain, to announce why. So I'm just trying to,
Well, Mayor, I don't want personally to remove that. I think either we should just vote on the total thing, or we could vote just one thing at a time and then vote at the end. Okay, I think the attorney would like to.
I called you a counselor. Mr. Albright.
Thank you. Madam Mayor, I'd recommend, given the discussion, that a council member make a motion, number 1, to eliminate the 3-minute limitation.
Okay.
And then a motion regarding the abstentions.
Okay.
And then a motion related to Councilmember DeMonico's requested language.
Okay.
And then I think that then would satisfy the amendments moving forward.
Oh, okay, I will remove my motion.
So let's start with the not to exceed the 3 minutes. I want to motion that first.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to remove the not to exceed 3 minutes.
Support.
Motion support, call the roll, please.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
All right, then I'll motion to should I, want me to read it one more time?
Please.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna understand it, but
A motion to amend the voting majority section, the part that's changing to, a majority shall be defined as more than one half of the council members, including the mayor, present and voting yes or no on any given issue unless charter, state law, or another authority states a majority is defined as more than one half of total council members. Illegal votes shall be ignored. On issues requiring a two-thirds vote, a majority shall consist of two-thirds of members present unless charter, state law, or another authority states a majority is defined as two-thirds of total council members.
Support.
when you say one half of council members, including the mayor present, and voting yes or no on any given issue, explain that part, Councilman, since it sounds like you know it.
Yeah, majority, if there's 5 members, so for majority and not two-thirds, the majority, if 5 people are present, 3 yeses would be required.
Okay.
If 4 are present, it'd be 3, and if 3 people are present, it'd be 2.
Okay. Motion, thank you. Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes?
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Abstentions now? Council.
I'd motion we keep the second one as is, my motion.
I'll support that.
Motion and support, call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes?
Mayor Owens?
No.
Councilmember Baker?
No.
Okay.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would just ask for a fourth motion, because there were some
Okay.
other changes in there. Just have those included as well. For instance, there's the procedure of motions, which is new language, and just so that's included.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to introduce and give first reading to ordinance 22-1226, an ordinance text amendment to the Charter 2 Administration, Article 2, City Council of the Ordinances of the City of Eastpointe. All the proposed changes that have not already been voted on.
Support.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley.
Yes?
Mayor Owens?
Yes.
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
Next item is the schedule for the fiscal year 2022 audit meeting, council.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion for the City Council to resolve to hold a special meeting of the City Council on Tuesday, December 6, 2022, at 6 p.m. for the purpose of reviewing the audit for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2022.
Support?
And if I could ask one real quick question, can we get it at least 2 weeks ahead of time, please?
I can't promise that. It's going to come from Plant Moran.
Aren't we, we're paying them today? Are we not,
It's just a partial payment.
oh, that was a partial payment?
Yeah.
Charging us more now?
They-
Oh,
We'll
probably.
be lucky to get it a week in advance. Just knowing how long they take to go through their standards procedures.
Is there I mean, it's a lot to go through in 1 week.
I mean, you could push it to the 20th.
Is there a draft with most of it that's available a little further ahead of time, or?
Again, I don't control that. It's published by Plant Moran.
'Cause I'm pretty sure we got it like 3 days ahead of time.
Yep.
Like last year, and that's, it's 120 pages of financial documents. So if you're not an auditor or a CPA, it's a lot. I know it's similar each year, but
Yeah.
So 6 days you said, or 7 days? A week?
I cannot promise anything, but I will let them know that you desire it as early as possible.
Right. Please.
And I know sometimes if you ask, you can set up separate meetings with them. 'Cause I've done it in the past, so if you want to talk to them earlier than that date, I probably recommend all of council, if you want to talk to them earlier, you all can talk, set up a meeting with them, one-on-one to break it down, so when we do have the meeting, it can go a little bit smoother. for everyone and make sure that document is on our website so that the residents can follow right along with this. We have motion and support on the floor. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Item H, approve BJA Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Council.
Mayor, I'll motion we accept the 2022 BJA fiscal year 2022 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant for a total of $19,291.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmembers Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes. Item I, approval of MIDC contract. Council.
Madam Mayor, I would move to approve the MIDC 2022 grant contract and authorize the city manager to execute all necessary documents.
Second.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico,
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Payroll and bills. Council.
Madam Mayor, I'll motion to pay the bills in the amount of $8,261,475.29.
Support.
Motion and support. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Lucido,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker,
Yes.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Mayor Owens,
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Next is the second hearing of the public. It's the same as the first. You get the same amount of time. You get 3 minutes. I don't start the timer till you tell me your name, residency, or you're a visitor to give you more time.
Cindy Federley, Eastpointe resident. I'm so confused about the abstention and not voting on something for personal reasons. The way I read that, personal reasons is if you have a family member that works for a company that would benefit, not you personally, but would benefit your family or your spouse or whatever. You should not be abstaining from a vote because of your religious reasons, because you're voting for the people of Eastpointe. You're not voting your personal feelings. You work for the citizens, and your vote should reflect what the public feels or wants. So that confuses me that you would have a personal reason other than if it would benefit you, somebody in your family. And the other thing is, if you abstain from a vote, it should be recorded as abstention. But what does Robert's rules say about how that vote is counted? Is it counted towards majority or not? I would think that's covered in Robert's rules. And that's all I've got to say, and kudos on the water mess.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Hi. Hello. My name is Miss Alice, and I'm glad you brought up about that SLAP program. I've been in it when it was $5, I believe. And my neighbors now who passed away a couple of years ago, they had to have a pipe up under their house, and it cost them $5,000. And I would like to ask, really, what is that all about if you got to pay that much money? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else would like to speak at this time?
Hello, guys. Adele Toma from Eastpointe. Just want to remind people that when you get your voting ballot, there are other options. It's not just Coke and Pepsi. You'll see Republican, you'll see Democrat, you'll see Green Party, Libertarian. You don't have to vote for the blue, the Cribs, and you don't have to vote for the Bloods and the Republicans. There are other options, so I'm imploring people to please take the other options. You're not forced to vote for one party. There's other options on the voting ballot. Please read the voting ballot. Number two, as far as the animal control workers, we need an animal commission in Eastpointe. We've gone through a lot of animal control officers. Most police departments go through a lot of animal control officers. If we have an animal commission, we know at least somebody's going to be there for the animals. The third thing is, on August 12th, I sent an email to you, Madam Mayor, and I CC'd everybody, all the city council members, regarding 9 petitions that I had asked for, and I haven't heard back from anybody. And it says sent, and I sent the email August 12th, and it's been over 2.5 months, and I haven't heard back from anybody. So, if all of you guys couldn't have responded back, If one didn't or two, that'd be, but all of you, nobody responded back. And I CC'd everybody on the email. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. Not one of you guys responded back. This was August 12th, and it says sent. So I would go home and read your email because no one's responded back. So that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else would like to speak?
Karen Morajan, Eastpointe resident. Finally here. Been a long couple of days in all our last minute campaigning. It's really unfortunate. Politics has become just so ugly where people aren't just running their platforms based on their principles, but it's just turned into trashing your opponent. And I was listening to the debate tonight, and I'm not going to make any bones about it. I strongly support Governor Whitmer and all of our Democratic candidates. They've been fighting for us pretty damn hard, and they're doing what they can to keep us moving forward in the right direction. We don't need to be going backwards in time. That's just ridiculous. People need to do the research on the candidates and also read those proposals thoroughly. It is absolutely shameful and all the disgusting lies being told about Proposal 3. Proposal 3 is about allowing women to choose what to do when faced with an unplanned pregnancy. There is nothing at all in the proposal language about transgender, about taking parents' rights away and 10-year-olds being able to, take drugs or have gender reassignment surgery. These are just ridiculous scare tactics. We don't need a Stepford wife for our next governor. We need to retain Governor Whitmer. I've met with her. This woman is incredibly passionate. She listens, she cares. I told her about what's going on with the nursing homes, and she made it a point to have her legal counsel to reach out to me. I spoke with Carl Marlenga again yesterday morning. He is willing to sit down and further discuss this with Attorney General Dana Nessel, because those two take it to heart in what is going on with the elders and how critical it is to make sure that everything is done to stop elder abuse. And sadly, that is running rampant in these nursing homes, especially the one my mom was in, and I am doing everything in my power to make sure that place gets shut down. I got a 78 to 79 page report back from the state. The patient care was beyond horrifying. So, we need to be extremely thoughtful in the
Time is up,
candidates
ma'am.
we elect.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to speak at this time? Anyone else? The second hearing of the public is now closed. Going to mayor and council reports, starting with Councilman DeMonico.
Thanks, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to, I see Ms. Flans is gone, but I do want to apologize to her because I did look at my email real quick. I did send her an old version of the recreational master plan. I don't know how I did it, but it is an old one. I brought it up, and it does have, of course, the page she gave us, and I must have completely forgot about looking at that. But I did want to apologize to her about that mix-up. I have the new one. I have cardydemonico.com if anyone's been to it. The new version's on there, and the new one's on the Recreational Authority website, so that's why it was extra confusing earlier in the meeting. But second, lead. Yep, thank you, everybody. The city's been working super hard, thanks to Darren Paolucci, our Director of Public Works, our City Manager, Mariah Walton. I know everybody in here has been working very hard. The DPW has been working very hard. If you have lead service line, please, try to use maybe a filter for drinking water then until we can get all these lead lines out of the ground. Of course, you saw today, we plan to get more out of the ground. I mean, it is going to take a little bit of time, but I think we're, trying to work as quickly as we can. The medical marijuana facilities licenses, I'm very glad to see that we gave those out. Thank you to everyone on that too. Thank you, Mr. Albright, and I know Ms. Holman, and Mr. Our finance director was on the committee too, right? And thank you, because our first public hearing on that was December 4th, 2018. So it's been a little while since we started that process. And then, as I mentioned last meeting, hope people had a chance maybe to at least see online, if you weren't able to go in person, Macomb County Pride in Mount Clemens. It was a great time. They had a carnival out there. There are hundreds of people out there again this year. If you see it next year again, try to make it out. And then just wanted to talk, about the MML convention just for a second. As we were saying, some of us were at that at the end of last week. It was a great time in Muskegon. If you haven't been, I hadn't been, go check out Muskegon. It is a beautiful city, and they've done a lot of work in just, it seems like the last 5 years. They've got, they've renovated their hockey arena, theater, art museum downtown. It was a new convention center that we were at. It's a great city. And in one of the general sessions, we had our city manager on one of the panels.
Hey.
So, yeah, okay.
She was terrific.
And when I say general session, this is a convention of like 400 appointed and elected officials. So it's a big crowd and a good crowd. And that was cool to see up there. And just really quickly, just a couple of the things that I went to there. I went to a workshop that was kind of trying to get us to think out of the box. I thought this was pretty interesting. They said, put up, the biggest issues in your community and stuff, and then we ranked them. And then they had us talk about the least ranked things as opposed to the most ranked things. And then they're like, here, go ahead, try and figure out solutions to these problems. So we were kind of thrown a little off guard, of course, and I thought that was kind of neat. And then you're sitting at a table with officials from other cities. Most tried to make it a point to be sitting with people that weren't from your own community, so that you could, learn some things from other communities. And then a couple other things were just like, there was one breakout with the city of Jackson, and they do the same kind of thing with Habitat for Humanity that we do, where we sell some of our properties, and then Habitat helps out, brings it back to life, and someone can move in. And I did feel good about Eastpointe, though, after part of it. I feel Jackson owns 800 properties. 800? Yeah, I thought it was like a typo, because we don't even have a tenth of that. And I saw those 5 vacant properties were bought by somebody at the auction last week, the ones that we didn't buy. So hopefully something will turn into those. But that, it's interesting to see what's going on in other cities. And then, we took a tour of the art museum there, and the art museum's huge. It's the second biggest collection to the DIA in Michigan. So I think they said they had like 5,000 pieces. They're not all out, but they've got a huge vault. And so if you have a chance, check that out, because I was super impressed. I was expecting a much smaller art museum, just guessing, And then there was also another breakout I went to was about Washtenaw County and how their police departments and sheriff's office work with mental health. They kind of do a little program where they try to send a mental health professional as opposed to police officers on the scene, and they had some interesting statistics. I'm hoping, we can kind of merge this in the future and do a little more of that. I think our police officers would rather deal with other issues anyway, and mental health professionals deal with mental health cases, if it is safe, of course. Obviously, there will be some situations where police officers definitely needed, and they kind of talked about that. We watched two body cam videos. One was a guy running down the highway just with a knife, and it fortunately ended peacefully. They did have to use a taser. And then another one was this NFL star, and probably some people saw this in the news. Brian Price, I think was his name. He, I think because of concussions, he just was not himself that day. He ends up like running through a glass door. It was like this crazy scene, but everyone handled it well, and it handled without anyone getting harmed. Well, I'm sure he probably felt that the next day, but other than that, it was kind of good to see how that worked out. And last session, it's called Working Together for the Good of Your Community. It was just interesting to hear about how other meetings flow in other cities. It was interesting to me when I think it's St. Clair Shores does it, where they have like a consent agenda and just vote on it as opposed to voting on one at a time. I'm certainly not suggesting we do that. A consent agenda is kind of strange to me. But that was MML convention. We're supposed to give a little summary of what we did, so I want to give a summary. Make sure you go out and vote, and as we said, see our wonderful Deputy City Clerk, Robin Underwood, if you need to register to vote or anything, or know someone that does, and just make sure you vote absentee or vote on November 8th. And that's all.
Sounds good. Councilman Baker?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I also had the privilege of attending the MML convention. And yes, our city manager represented as well. I saw some eyes getting wide. I think some people were looking, but, there may have been a tall council member that said, hey, she's ours, you can't have her. A guy that we all may know and love. I wound up in one of the same breakout sessions that Councilman DeMonico was in due to a typo through the MML app. We were trying to hit different ones, and then as I was standing in the back, I looked up and saw him sitting in the middle. I'm like, oh, whoops. But they just had some very interesting things. They talked about like infrastructure and just different. We got a chance to see different things that other communities got to do. There was one that talked about pattern book homes, so I learned a little bit about what that was, just to kind of get some other insights of what other people do. And also, we got to learn about some cities that, well, I'll say I didn't know that existed, like Cassopolis, who won the recognition for their improvement in their cities, and they're actually a city, they say, that's at the bottom of the mitten, that's smaller than we are, but they've done some phenomenal things. And so just to learn like some of their sources of how they were able to make these improvements for the residents in the city was just amazing. So that's my short version of it. So that's all I got.
I was about to say you got 30 seconds left.
I'm good.
Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Mayor. Couple things. Our city manager was interviewed by MSNBC. Simone, and she was great. But, excuse me, 2 cities wanted to hire her as soon as she got off the stage. And we had to protect her, tell her that she's out of order, you can't do it. But she was really good, but we wanted to do that. Monday is Halloween. Now, some of you don't pass out candy because no one comes to your house, and that's okay. We average about 100 kids on Halloween. And what I'm asking you, I'm not asking you to pass out candy, but what I'm asking you, if you happen to be on the residential streets, whatever that one might be, kids aren't going to watch out for you if you're driving down that street. So I would expect for you not to go more than 10 miles an hour. Promise yourself that. And lastly, I've been around long enough to know what some of the things in your mind when we were discussing some of these issues, like, holy Toledo, why don't they make up their minds? You've been there on that thing for 20 minutes. So have patience with us. We have to make sure we make a decision that a majority of us agreed to. So if you had in your mind that we took too long, that's okay. This is Tuesday. There's not much on television until 10 o'clock. So we'll be home by 10 o'clock. So God bless everybody. And council persons, we ended up doing all right tonight. We did it. We went out all right. And I won't. The only thing I got to repeat about this convention, MML, and Muskegon, they have what was it, guys? 10 or 12 little buildings,
Oh, yeah, the chalets.
tiny little things. And what they do, they have companies that come in, and this is then I forgot the word. Thank you. No, incubator. It's called an incubator, and they can go there and do what they did and eventually go out into a regular-sized building. So it was worth the time to go, and some of you may, well, not you guys, some of you may complain about the money we spent to do there, but you know what? That's where some ideas come from. You know, they do. Communication, it's called. Wow. Yeah, we learned a lot of stuff, and if we can incorporate it into our city, by golly, we're going to do it. So, Madam Mayor, I'm done.
Councilwoman Lucido.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank all of you guys that were able to attend MML and giving me your updates. I appreciate hearing, especially the different breakout sessions, what you guys learned and things like that, because I was unable to attend. But not being able to attend, it did give me the opportunity to go out and help pass out water filters to all the residents that so patiently waited in line last Wednesday to receive them. I know there was a lot of issues. Some people were a little frustrated. This is the first time we ever had to do an event like this, obviously, so it was a learning experience and curve for us too. But I want to give a shout out to DPW. All of their workers worked so hard to make sure, and they are continuing to work hard to make sure that everyone's getting these filters. And to administration for getting the word out there. I mean, all the news, it was on the news, every news channel aired it. I mean, we gave the press release, they got the information out there. I mean, overall, I think, we did the best we could with the little bit of knowledge we had, because we had never done anything like this before. But, I mean, we had a ton of volunteers. It was amazing to see. I mean, people were coming from City Hall, everyone that here at City Hall, they came over to DPW to help after working here all day. So, yeah, it was really, really fantastic. But, yeah, like I said, thank you guys for representing us at MML. I heard Ms. Walton did a fantastic job. So I'm really, really proud to have her here working with us and representing us so well. And that is all I have this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. I'm not going to repeat half the stuff you all said. Thanking everyone who helped us with the lead pipes and getting the lead lines and getting that information out. But I do want to thank Wayne State University for taking their time out to help us. There's so many people that helped us that don't live in the community, other resources, other organizations that said, let's get this done. And as the mayor and council, we want to say thank you if you're looking at this video from home. Also want to talk about the MML. I'm going to be very short. It was really nice, and our city managers shined. They had a lot of city managers in the room, people from different cities, and they chose ours. So again, our city is shining positively, and I want to say thank you for making us shine. You are one of the lights of this community, in addition to the ones that's sitting out there in the audience and looking at home. But you made us look good, and I had to threaten a couple people because they tried to take her. So, and some people have seen the council meetings. They know I don't play. So at this point, they know I don't play about, my city manager. She has done a lot of work, and she just started this position, and she has superseded expectations that any city manager since I've been here in the 5 years that has done. And you have did an amazing job, and I'm glad you invested in our city. We all thank you, and thank all to the directors and everyone at home that give us comments, or give us reviews and things like that to help us run this city. The MML was awesome. Again, she was speaking with the press secretary of the White House for Obama, I think. For Kamala Harris, the senior advisor, and she was up there. Simone Sanders. It was a blessing to even meet her. She taught us a lot, and I attended the women mayors conference and things like that. It was really nice to talk to women in leadership. And we had conversations and we had games and things like that. But I brought up that women in leadership, we need to talk about more mental health. And everybody just looked at me like, oh my God, somebody's actually talking about what needs to be done. a lot of women in leadership, we are, we are mothers, we are wives, girlfriends, and so much more. And then we have to tackle on the many things of our residents or people that need us and things like that. And people forget about the needs of those that are in leadership, even the men in leadership. But at this point, we was talking about women in leadership, and so many people came up to me and said, we're glad you brought that up. And I know mayors from across the United States have packed it up and came together as women and said, we need mental health throughout. I know our police deal with a lot, and people just around, the country that are in leadership positions. Like I said, women. I think sometimes people always feel like a woman spoke up and said they always expect us to be so strong. And what does that mean? Strength is not always taking hits all the time. It's allowing people to know that you're human, and showing that human side as well. And we always need to make sure that people are expressing themselves and people are respecting the human side of a person, not looking at their title, what they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to act, and saying that person might be going through a death, that person might be going through something at home. What's going on? What our leader. And I think our leaders around the country, we need to find out what's going on because they are people too. And I was glad that we had those real conversations with people in leadership, and I expressed that, and they were really, I had people coming up to me and thanking me for that, and then that was actually a moment Simone Sanders spoke on that in a session about mental health. And I think sometimes when you talk about mental health, everybody think, oh, that person is crazy. No, everybody in here has something that they're dealing with, and everybody deals with it differently. And we need to respect how they deal with it. Either assist them, ask for help, or just be quiet and let them deal with it. And I think we need to respect how people deal with things because we don't know. You don't know what the mayor goes through. I don't know what the councilwoman goes through or the councilman, or I don't know what you go through. Whatever you go through, always know that the mayor is always praying for you, and and we have to respect people in their time and how they move through things. And so I went to a couple sessions. I went to a session for affordable housing. And that went really well and talked about homelessness. So, I'm always about making sure people have affordable housing, people are not homeless, and they were talking about giving homes to, felons and how that works. And I had some, conversations about that. They was talking about putting policies together to make sure that felons are not discriminated against for fair housing. And they had different things and programs in their communities to make sure that doesn't happen. Because there's a lot of felons that want second chances, and when they're trying to find somewhere to live, they don't get that second chance based off their background and what they did. And so I listened to that. Also, it was a mayor, it was two mayors from different cities. They went to go visit each other in their council, and I like that. That might be an idea for us too. So you go to a community that has the same amount of, the population, same size and things like that, and you see what they're doing, or they come visit you and see what you're doing, and just pass off, ideas and things like that. And so it sounded like it went very well because they learned so much from each other. They were able to pass ideas and help each other build their community. So I think that might be something also we might want to think about visiting, all of us collectively, find a community that's similar to ours and seeing what they're doing. And also, they talked about diversity inclusion committee. Wasn't that diversity and equity inclusion committee? And starting one in our community. They have one in other communities, and I think that would be something good for our community as well. I know they have one in the city of Detroit as well, and many other communities. So, they were just talking about a lot of things that move cities forward, make them strong or stronger. And I just took notes of that, and there's just something, I think some of those things that we have already started but haven't completed. And I see our city moving that along very, very shortly. Also, I know we have a couple of events coming up. I know you talked about one tomorrow with the lead. And we get information and things like that. And also, I believe we having a chili cook-off from the police department, correct? Mm-hmm. So what date is that? Yeah. So we're having a chili cook-off. Are you guys passing out candy this year as well? Okay. 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 November 17th at 5 will be a chili cook-off. It will be here, correct? A chili cook-off. Can anybody enter? How does it work? Staff?
are doing the chili, and then the public's coming in to engage with the.
Okay, because I can make a mean chili, I'm just saying, y'all don't want y'all mayor to put, I shut it down in here, the chili cook-off, I'm just saying. But, and also on the day of Halloween, you all be passing out candy as well. Okay, so we have a lot of things going on. Also, some of these things on our website. So go to our website, because if I don't have the dates right, you go to the website. I know our city manager had put that on there. We have a lot of things going on in our city that's positive. Pay attention to the positive. And if it's not positive, pray about it so we can be better at what we do. And so, again, thank you for everybody that's listening at home and also in the audience. We're going to go into closed session. You're free to stay here and see us say goodbye, or you're welcome to leave. We're going to a closed session for item A, attorney-client privilege communication pursuant to MCL 15.268, and also item B, you said Domsic, was that correct? Versus the city of Eastpointe. Council?
So moved.
Support.
Motion and support to go into a closed session. Please call the roll.
Councilmember DeMonico?
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido?
Yes.
Councilmember Curley?
Yes.
Mayor Owens?
Yes,
Councilmember Baker?
Yes.
we're going to closed session. Good night to everyone that is about to leave. Oh, good. Okay, those that are at home, we are back in session. We are going to do we need a motion? We have a
Motion
for
to
any,
adjourn?
for any other things that we went to closed session for, or we're fine?
Madam Mayor, just a motion to adjourn would be appropriate.
Okay, sounds good. Motion to adjourn, guys.
Support.
Motion and support, please call the roll.
Councilmember Curley,
Yes.
Councilmember Baker.
Yes.
Mayor Owens.
Yes.
Councilmember DeMonico.
Yes.
Councilmember Lucido.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned. Have a good night, everyone.